to The Truth in This Art. I am your host, Rob Lee, and today I am interviewing a multidisciplinary creative based in Detroit, Michigan. Please welcome Scott Everett. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. I want to start answering that weirdly. It's going swimmingly. I want to see if I can come up with a different one every time.
I haven't heard that one in a while, but I've definitely heard it for sure.
It's like I'm drowning in life. It's like, wow.
Swimmingly. Swimmingly is not drowning. Swimmingly is swimming. You know, you tread in water, you're good.
And as a black guy, that's another level, right?
That's normal.
So if you will, for those who are uninitiated, give us those vital stats. Please tell us about yourself and what was your first medium you remember using, and did you enjoy it?
Oh man, gosh, I guess I'll go with the second question first. First medium was pen and paper. What do you call it? Pencil and a shader. If anybody remembers the 2B pencil, and then that paper white shader. Yeah, that's what I was pretty much known for, because I had some pretty smooth shading back in the day. I haven't done that in such a long time. Now that I'm thinking about it, I should probably get back to it.
So you're the smooth shader is what you're saying?
Yeah. I was a smooth shader back in high school and in grade school as well. Yeah.
So give us that rundown. Are you originally from Detroit, or are you just based there? Give us that rundown. So
I'm originally from Detroit, born in Detroit, but raised in Arizona. My parents were police officers, and they got tired of the things that were going down in Arizona. I might be, I'm not in Arizona, in Detroit. Yeah. And so they got up and they moved to Arizona, and that's where I did most of my growing up there.
So So Arizona was one of those kind of introductory periods as far as you beginning to your love of art, or?
Man, so the love of art came from my mom, actually. It really started in Detroit. Okay. So she noticed that I was pretty good, had a pretty good handle on drawing back in preschool, I think, where I drew a grasshopper. The project was actually to do a story, and I decided to just concentrate on just drawing a realistic grasshopper. And my teacher said, "This boy can draw." And she showed my mom, and my mom was like, "Let's get him to some classes." So I got some classes, I did some projects, and then eventually we moved to Arizona, and we're skipping pretty far ahead. But in high school, I had a chance of either going to a super preppy school versus going into a really dedicated art school. And my friends and everybody, they were going to the super preppy school, and unfortunately, but fortunately, I made a decision to go to concentrate on my career and go to a school that focused on helping out my skills. So
the story starts with the grasshopper, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it really does. The story does start with the grasshopper.
So I read that celebrating the past and the present is the focus of your work. Why does that focus really resonate with you?
Man, I love the way that sounds. But I'm a really nostalgic type of person. When I like to think back to all the times that actually things that made me happy, and a lot of those times were during the 90s era. And the way that things are, honestly, when things shift, decades through time, you're always going to be stuck in the spot that you had the most fun at. You're always going to remember those times. So for me, that's the 90s, and cartoons and music, hip hop, all those types of things that happened at that time. So I like to celebrate those things now, just like people like to celebrate the 60s or the 50s or the little elements of those times.
So you're really paying homage, because that's the thing that's interesting. If you start looking at the 90s, if you go back to 99, that's more than 20 years ago. And it's you start looking at certain things, you're like, what's classic rock? Yo, this song is a classic. Exactly. It's oh God, what?
Yep. Some of that can be prehistoric now.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that. 'Cause I'm in my mid-30s, and I'm feeling look, man, the 90s, it's old now. Come on, man. I turn into old man pop culture. I remember back in my day, cartoons were 2D,
You're there now.
Don't remind me. Don't remind me. So talk about when you start a project, right? Like, how do you start a project, and what keeps you motivated in your personal work? Because I know that you're doing both. You're doing the professional side of, but you're doing your own personal projects.
Yeah. Well, both of those, I guess it would seem like they're disconnected or disjointed or whatnot, but one of them helped me a lot more than the other. When it came down to my art, like early on, like I said, I was really good with drawing realistic drawings and paintings and stuff like that, but I never had like a good grasp on like what is my style and what is my art. You know, like if you were going to point that out and says, "Oh yeah, Scott did that," you wouldn't be able to. You would say it's really good, but you wouldn't be able to say, "Oh, that's Scott." And I actually went through college with that same mindset. So that's honestly why I switched to more of a graphic design and package design field instead of illustration, because of that conflict with it. I started to be way better at the technical stuff that didn't really need a lot of style. I mean, a lot of, soul, I guess. I don't know is the best way to put it, but artistic soul. So I went down that route, and that route got me into UX, UI design, package design, graphic design, and now where I'm at right now is user research, where I help institutions figure out how to navigate really complex systems. But then all that learning that I did from the job that I have right now has actually influenced how I approach my art and my style now.
Sure.
Yeah. So really just having a good start, a good base, and figuring out what I can do in a certain amount of time. Yeah. And how can I make it awesome?
I like the second part about that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
I always find it interesting when someone is a creative and doing like creative work, and how they look at something that is maybe not necessarily part of their creative process, and they bring that in, they learn something from it, certain skills from it that really make their creative process like better. For instance, I'm doing these interviews. I knew nothing about networking, and somehow it happened backwards for me. Like, hey, I can have a conversation with someone, and somehow that made me better at the day job, which, requires people to, have conversations, network, talk with people. Yep. And it's almost cyclical. It's like I'm always in front of people, always have the opportunity to talk and speak publicly, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, you got to have the opportunity to be bad at something for a while. And that's the only way that you're going to be great, I feel like. And the tools that you use will like influence your style. Like the thing that I can think of that like really pushed me was just having an iPad. My job, I saw that I'm an illustrator. Yeah. I do a lot of illustration for them. So they gave me an iPad. And originally I didn't even want an iPad. I wanted a laptop. I'm a graphic designer. Yeah. This is what I do. But they pushed me back into drawing, and I love it, Yeah. And so now this iPad is literally my favorite thing in life right now.
I'm just looking forward to seeing you in one of those commercials, like, here at Wesson Labs, we're here just banging it out with the iPad. No. It's just like, come on, Scott, can we do something different?
Man, I'm sticking to the iPad. I love it. It's the best mesh of technology and traditional. Yeah. That is like almost perfect for me, because I love it.
Yeah, I'm looking at getting one for myself, because I want to learn how to do a few things on there. And it's like, look, man, I need to get this NFT bread.
It's surprisingly easy. It's a little bit of a learning curve, because, now you got to press stuff instead of tapping. I find myself tapping my laptop sometimes when I know it doesn't work, like that.
I'll say it might be as hard as I do remote work for my day job, and I have a Windows-based system at home and a Mac at home and a Windows-based system at work.
Oh, that's tough.
So it's like I'm trying to like think backwards while using the Mac. So yeah, if I can do that, I mess up a lot though. If I can do that, we're good.
Because it's like your brain got a switch. It's that switch, and that switch is time.
So, as an artist living and working in Detroit, what strikes you about the artist community there in the city?
Man, I see it. I feel like I'm more I feel like I'm a little late to the game personally.
Sure.
I see it, on Instagram, social media and whatnot. I follow a lot of people that I want to emulate and be friends with and all that. But at this point, I just want to get out there and just find my place within it and within Detroit. I'm literally at that point right now, trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, like, is it so in the stuff that you're seeing? Because as a person that's within the city, are you seeing like, is it a big graffiti scene? Is it a lot of like visual art? Like, what are you seeing there?
I mean, Detroit is huge on graffiti, huge on big graphics on the side of on billboards and on the side of buildings. Like, they're almost everywhere. I would love to do some type of murals and stuff like that. I don't think I had a skill set for that. But my partner actually does. So we've actually been in workshop trying to figure out like how could we actually get into things like that. But yeah, it's been nice, really, just seeing that industry grow for sure.
Your work has the pop culture references we were talking about a little bit, past and present, like with a huge fan base. And this is, I'll preface this, I don't like fans, I like, so where you have like those pop culture references, like you have like the Drake stuff, I've seen Nipsey Hussle. What's the response been? And do you struggle with comparisons to like other artists? And how do you move past that? If there are,
I really don't know. Cause I feel like I'm kind of in this bubble right now. I don't think anybody really knows too much about the work that I do, but they've probably seen it, like that's where I'm at right now. But it comes down to, I've been doing like, I love hip hop. I love music in general. And I love painting famous people. So it's fun. Like I do this because I really like to do it. It's not like I only draw people that I really like love, I love Rick Ross. Like Drake. Unfortunately, I really enjoy Jake,
That's great. It's like, unfortunately.
Yeah, you have
those light-skinned tones just right.
Yeah, and anybody up and coming, like I've been wanting to do an Anderson .Paak one. I love Anderson .Paak. I wanted to draw people that I love to listen to. That's really what it comes down to.
And I think that's the thing that drives it, right? Like, if you're doing something that you love, if you are working on things that you love, and people want to like pay you and people want to give you like the accolades and the acknowledgement, hell yeah, do that shit. Yeah.
That's the easiest on-ramp to like sticking to what you love to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about the media you consume. This is always an interesting question. So are there specific works in terms of visual art, literature, film, or music that really resonate with you? And what have you learned from those artists maybe?
Man, I feel like I'm probably the worst person for this question because I always forget people's names. Like, I'm the type of person that like, I'll pick something from somebody's art. It's like, I like the way they did that swoosh or that I like the way they positioned that shape and whatnot. And I would internalize that. But a lot of my style, well, not my style, a lot of my references come from like old art history, Caravaggio, Matisse, Salvador Dali, all those people that can like really like compose a good piece. Like, you can draw something like really well, but if it's off into the corner, or, you're missing like a huge element of a focal point, then it's just like it falls apart a little bit. And I like to get those foundational stuff down, and I look towards those people to do that.
So in terms of your personal work or what have you, are you working on something? What's that process look like? Is it a regular thing? Is it daily? Is it like, look, I might take a little break here and there? What does that look like?
Well, I mean, lately it's become like it's been a nice little rhythm, I would say. Like, I would get a gig in, and I would spend all my time. Okay, I got about 4 or 5 days to figure this out. It's really just most of the time it's going to be just a portrait with a background. I will position the portrait how I like how I would like it, and also thinking about it next to all the other portraits that I've done on social media. So I would like to keep those things consistent. And the background really is where I struggle the most, to be honest, is really kind of just bringing I try to figure out like a really cool way to compose a square in the square format and also in like a landscape format, because they used it in both. So that was been the biggest challenge. It's like, well, I got to make this look good in the square, but I also got to make it look good wide too, you know? So figuring out that. So I do sketches, then I hate to say it, but I have a color palette that I really enjoyed. I really love. So I have that pretty much down. So I don't do a lot of color studies. Yeah. So don't tell nobody.
I mean, this is a podcast.
Yeah. Now everybody knows.
Damn.
Yeah. And so I knock out the portrait, and then I knock out the background, and I do some finishing touches just to make sure everything was great.
Yeah. Or as you said, awesome. Everything's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. I love awesome.
So one of the things I read is that you're really curious about nature. You have an obsession with learning new skills that you were touching on, I think, there.
Yeah.
What is the most recent skill that you've added to the toolkit? And what is your approach with learning something new? Like, do you just dive right into it? Do you get like, yo, I need to read everything about this? Or do you say, look, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to hands-on style?
I'm definitely not reading about it. I'm more of a dive in type of person. I literally have no problems making mistakes. And I feel like that's one of my biggest assets. But then like, it's a little bit of a hindrance sometimes, because I can get frustrated a little bit, but I know why I'm in this frustrated cycle, because I'm actually getting somewhere. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if I want to try something new, then I'm just jumping in. I'm diving in, trying to figure out how it works, breaking into its smallest pieces to understand it, and then see it, take a step back and see it for, its true self, its whole.
And I think that's why the Mac products work for you so well, because they don't really leave you with much. You're like, let's figure it out. No. Here you go.
Yep, that's it.
This is the cable. It plugs in here. Don't be stupid.
No, please don't. Yeah. It works for me. I haven't looked back. I haven't had a Windows since I can't even think.
and it's funny, like, when it comes to the audio production and things like that, like I'm self-taught. So it's kind of like really tactile. It's like there's certain things you get on YouTube University. You might look like, how do you make this?
Love it.
How do you do this? But really, when it comes to like reading that manual for the mixer, it's like, how do I get sound in there? And then I'm going to DIY that joint.
Mm-hmm. You have to figure it out yourself. And I feel like you become an expert that way. You know what I'm saying? Like in Apple, they've given you those tools that are kind of set. They're already ready for you to create. I don't want to build my own computer. I want to use the computer so I can make cool stuff.
Right. Hell yeah. So this is the last real question that I have for you before I get to those rapid fire questions I talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Tell me about contributing to like the overall work. So like when somebody does, like, let's say a painting of Drake or a piece of work around Drake or something like that, there's only Drake only has so many sides to his face. So how do you continue to make your work like unique and have your unique stamp on it?
Oh man. Well, it's one of those artist dilemmas. I feel like you don't have Drake in front of you. You can't have him pose, Do you want
him posing in front of you?
Yeah. I mean, if I could, then I guess I would. That'd be great. But, you don't have it. You can only use what's online. Sure. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you find online, I try to find the clearest picture. Sometimes is not the case. And sometimes even if it's the most pixelated picture, but I like that. I like the way the figure is looking. That's just artistic opportunity at that point. You got the shape of the head, you got where his eyes are going to be. But I think what makes my stuff stand out is that like I have a little bit, I tried to compose a background, or I do have a painterly style of drawing. So I think that kind of like differentiates it from just a photo,
I like that. I think bringing in elements, when you said painterly, and even your love of nature, I immediately don't think of something that's digital, that's on, like a machine ultimately, and that's being, drawn and painted in that way. I think of like canvas, pen, pad, whatever. But yeah, I like that you're bringing that maybe different style to something that's technical.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's the overall goal, to be honest, because I don't like. I hate to say this, but it's getting easier and easier to really make a passable piece of art. You know what I mean? And we have to find different ways to stand out a little bit in this like digital world and digital space where almost everybody can do it on the phone and stuff. So
yeah. I mean,
you gotta stand out somehow.
I've seen Canva put graphic designers out of business.
I know.
It's a thing. All right. Mm-hmm. So now, you know how you said we were vibing earlier and I have all of this goodwill that I've established in the last 25 minutes or so?
Lightning round.
Now I'm going to piss all of it away. It's all going to go. It's lightning round time. So,
am I allowed to pass?
No, that's the thing. No. So the way that this rapid fire situation is going to work here is just answer it as quickly as you can. And initially, I'm going to let you know this. Initially, there were only 3. I've added 2 since you were talking. Now it's 5.
Okay. All right. I'll try not to embarrass myself.
I think you're going to laugh at this first one.
All right.
Bearded Drake versus non-bearded Drake.
Oh, I mean, bearded Drake. That's better, I would say.
Okay.
I'm kind of jealous because I wish I could grow mine in, but I can't.
I feel like it's a merkin. I feel like it's just not real.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah. Favorite 90s jam?
Oh, man, I might mess this up. But Belle Biv DeVoe, what's the name of the...
Do you know the lyric? Big Button Smile? Is it Poison?
Poison.
Yeah, you did right. It's Poison. It's always Poison.
I love Poison.
Except for that one line in there that's a little sus. It's like...
You know the line.
It's like, you gotta... Yeah. Not in 2022, my guys.
Not in 2020.
What do you collect? Are you a collector of any sort? Do you collect pops? Man. You collect pens? What do you collect?
I would love to collect things. I would love to collect action figures. I would love to collect designer toys. Like I love designer toys. I actually used to try to sculpt them a lot.
Nice.
And try to make my own designer line of toys. And Pokemon cards and shoes. But I wish I had the money to. I can't spend the money on them. But those are the things. Once I have the money, I'm getting those things. I'm gonna have a room full of it.
Hell yeah! It's almost,
and reptile. Sorry.
That's almost one of those things. Like when I get on, gonna be all, like I got probably like 15 pops. And they're, pretty good anime references, horror movies, all types of weirdness. It's good stuff.
Yep. Nice.
So last 2. Because you're a cartoon guy, what are your 3 favorite cartoons?
Oh, man. That one's hard. Cow and Chicken.
It's a good one.
That was a really good one. Cat Dog.
Yes.
And I'm going to be really mad if I don't remember my favorite one.
Oh, no.
Oh, Hey Arnold.
Okay. You like the lighthearted stuff. I like it.
Yeah, I do.
I mean, mine's just like Ninja Turtles, like Transformers, and like Thundercats. I'm washed. Holy shit.
All solid. No,
absolutely. But also washed.
Yeah.
So this is the last one. Finish this sentence. Without art, I would.
Oh, man.
Because you're a creative.
I literally can't even think about it. That's so much of my life that there is no Scott without art. So
that's a fair one. It's like, it's going to be blank. I got nothing.
Yep. It's like, I just got a meme today. It was like, pick which one of these albums it's got to go. Just one. I like Kid Cudi, the latest one. You had, Future, you had Acid Rap. I'm like, dude, I'm not doing this.
All these are staying. So with that, I want to thank you for being on this podcast and sharing some of your story, your background, all of that good stuff. And I want to encourage and invite you to tell folks where to check out your work, your website, social media, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, if you look up at Instagram at WessonArt, and then you got WessonArt.com. Also work for a wonderful nonprofit called Sevilla. We're making some huge changes and huge leaps in an institution and trying to make some institutional change. So that's where you can find me.
So there you have it, folks. I want to again thank Scott Everett for coming on to the podcast. And I'm Rob Lee saying that there's art in and around your city. You just got to look for it.